Firstly, the government has taken note of concerns raised by the former Vice President of the Liberia, the Honorable Joel Howard Taylor, who have made some claims about entitled benefits which he said are not being received. We first want to start with some backgrounds as to what we've been struggling with as a government, not just the current government, but even during the Saliva administration, on how to bring the whole question of how to care for our former official and how to transition into the 4 years of context. There were efforts made to pass a transition act. I guess a lot of people chose to play politics with that, and it didn't work because we wanted to have a standardized approach towards how to treat former officials. President Bouakai himself is on record for having said many times that when he was former vice president, he was receiving as little as $800 monthly as his benefit as a former vice president. And again, it was blamed on the fact that we did not put our acts together as a country to handle the transitional act that was proposed before the departure of President Sani. So on December 27, 2016, the National Legislature managed to also pass a transformative act to repeal Degree number 14 of the People's Redemption Council, and they established a legal framework for the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation. That act extended pension coverage to a broader range of government officials, including the president, the vice president, members of the legislature, justices, and employees from various public sectors, ensuring comprehensive participation in a contributory pension scheme for all government officials or employees. The non-contributory retirement scheme was abolished as part of the 2017 pension reform. And so on February 13, 2017, all government employees were required to contribute to their pension to secure retirement benefits, significantly shifting pension responsibility to the individuals and ensuring fairness. The new act outlined clear eligibility criteria for retirement pensions, stipulating that individuals must be 60 years or older, and they must have retired from employment and meet specific contribution requirements. This ensures a structured approach to secure retirement for all government employees. But despite the official abolition of the non-contributory pension scheme under the new 2017 Act, the CSA set a significant precedent, which included former presidents, former vice presidents on a non-contributory pension payroll as of 2018. This decision was based on a long-standing practice and the recognition of special status of these high-ranking government officials. As a result of this decision, past presidents and vice presidents have continued to receive retirement pension benefits under the old non-contributory system. And so the former vice president receives a monthly retirement pension benefit from the National Social Security Corporation on one hand, and she also receives her retirement pension benefit under the non-contributory pension scheme managed by the CSA, as it is the case with all former presidents and vice president. Therefore, as a government, we are ready to look into any additional claim of benefit coming from the vice president so as to ensure that they are paid if that is true. Government is open to looking into her claims. If she makes an official claim to the government, and we can find an amicable solution to that. But as of now, we may not want to dispute a question of claims, but both from the Social Security Fund and from the non-contributory scheme, as far as our record shows, is receiving what is supposed to be their benefit structure. We realize that most of the roads in the country are not paved, even though much progress is being made currently to ensure that we link our different capitals and have most of our roads paved. The fact remains that there are so many routes that are not paved. So in our thinking, and as they used to be in the past, where we have maintenance zones across the country, the government opted that it will provide yellow machines to re-establish those maintenance zones so that we can at all times keep our roads pliable, whether they are paved or they are dusted, or gravel as we call them. Of course, at the announcement of that initiative, there were enough noise. Many questions about how the process was followed, etc., etc. As a government that listens, we slowed down the intervention and then decided to work from within. As it has already been announced and is in the public, we chose to recommit that the yellow machines will be made available still after a committee that was constituted by the president and chaired by the vice president has been looking into that. I have not been going into the details of cost, etc., because we want to be respectful to the honorable vice president who spearheads this initiative. But what we thought to say based on what they have done is to assure you and reassure you that the machines will be made available. In our mind, that's good news. And I know in the minds of many Liberians, it's good news. But like we always do, the Liberian way, much have not been done in terms of celebrating the fact that we have it. But people have raised different kinds of questions. And we've heard people talk about, the machines will be 50 million. It's going to be 100 million. So if it would be a price lesser than that, then somebody must be punished for something. I'll give you a practical example. I want to face the Ministry of Information. 10 business people come with proposals on what is required to face the ministry. One person said 300,000. Another person said 200,000. One said 75,000, another said 50,000. And in our wisdom, we choose the 50,000. And somebody is saying, that person who said fixing the building will cost 300,000 wanted to steal, and therefore they must be punished. You got to be asking yourself, so where are you punishing them for? For saying I'm selling my produce to you for 300,000, and you had the option to accept it or not to accept it, and you said, no, I don't want it. And you took another one that is 50,000, and you said, because the man said 300,000, that punish them. I don't understand the logic there. But that's how some people think. So at the appropriate time, we want to get the vice president, who was chair of the whole process, himself involved, to communicate with you in a detailed way about what has happened. What is the cost that we will have to incur to provide the machines that we are providing? Because there's one assurance you have already. There's been no shift in the quantity of those equipments that were targeted. Absolutely not. It'll be the same. Quality will not change. Because we also seen posting of some people who said, oh, they've rushed and gone in a direction to find some substandard machines. But the same people who say you went to a substandard machine, which they say is affecting President, though I have not announced in the press, and the same people then who say somebody is supposed to be punished for trying to steal. But you're already making a decision that what will be brought is substandard for what's supposed to be brought. Then isn't it true that the press has changed because the other one is substandard? Then who will get punished down for trying to steal according to you? So we get buried, deeply buried into the politics of everything, that we just make sometimes very unnecessary noise about everything we want to do. And if you notice another thing, just watch around. Those of you who are very active on social media, anytime you try to say something that represents good news, there are just some people who get extremely angry. And you wonder what's happening to them. I said, in this part of the world, good news for the country, not about any individuals. If you got yellow machine all over the place, you hear about President Bwaka or the people who are officials of the government, it's about the people. I heard one former government official, one of them who was politically crushed, asking a question as to whether yellow machines will put food on people's table. And then you understand where we are as a country. You don't want to commend it, it's fine. But you're saying it's not important. It's not going to put food on people's table. So the whole essence of a country existing is there for food. Once you can get food to eat, no road, no electricity, no water, it's fine. That's what that former government official who was grossly dilapidated in the electoral process is telling us. By way of using his newfound profession. And you know what a profession is, how would I say? But yes, yellow machines can put food on people's table. Are you aware that there are many farmers whose produce are being destroyed because they cannot remove them from the source of production to market? And are you not therefore aware that the yellow machines would make our roads, including farm to market roads, possible? And thereby enabling the people to bring their produce to market, sell it, find food for them and their children, take them to hospital when they are sick, build structures to live in, etc., etc. So when you live in a state of anger, and by the way, being angry every day shortens the life expectancy. So people rather save themselves from early death by just being happy about wherever you find yourself. Don't stress yourself beyond bound, being angry about everything, including good news about your own country. And if that's the path you've chosen, then I can assure you that you'll be angry every day. Because this administration will not rest and will not shy away from doing the right things for the people and for the country, and they will happen so simultaneously to the extent that if that is what makes you angry, then get ready to be angry every day. And like I said, just be mindful that it comes with consequences that will affect you, affect your life. So more conversations will be held, and we'll bring up the vice president who chaired the committee that did in time past, like some of the people who are much older. Just know that those maintenance zones, filled with earth-moving equipment, I used to see once upon a time are coming back. and it's good news for our country. When the current management team of the National Transit Authority took over, sometimes things are happening and sometimes people don't know that things are happening because the actors don't communicate. When the team took over the National Transit Authority, they met only 5 buses, and not new ones. They were partially functional buses, 5, only 5, but not moving. They had to repair those 5 buses, a whole entity. And we all know the history of what the National Transit Authority used to be. So they met the 5 buses, they didn't repair. They repaired them. And after that, they had another whole batch that needed spare parts to be repaired. They had to send for the spare parts abroad. They brought them. They did some repair work. So, in due time, just by repairing buses, they took their fleet from those 5 functional buses to 13. And they bought 3 brand new buses. They took it to 16. Then they gathered buses that were abandoned in different places, targeted for repair. And their fleet of repaired buses hit 26 from 5 non-functional buses. 2 buses were abandoned somewhere in Maryland in 3 to 4 years' time. They still thought it was workable. They retrieved the bus. They realized it can be fixed. They will fix it and send it back to that region so that it can move between Maryland and River Keys. So this was making something out of nothing from 5 non-functional buses. Then the government decided to make provision. And all is set for them to have 55 additional new buses. 20 of the 55 buses will be 18-seater buses, used mainly on feeder roads. And the rest of the 35 will be 62-seater buses. So those 55 new buses, plus the 26 coming out of repair, tells you how many buses an entity that was inherited with 5 partially functional buses will be. It is their hope, based on everything that is happening, that all 55 new buses will be available between July to August. That will still be 2 years short. Short of 2 years. When they inherited the entity with 5 partially functional buses. These are positive, transformative stories as to what people are doing in the different sectors they've been asked to serve. Yes, some of our friends will be struggling very hard to create an impression that nothing is happening. And one of the things I've heard them say consistently nowadays, which makes little sense to me, it's a major talking point, and they will say, oh, the UP lied their way to power. And so with that, to come to power. And that's the mistake. The UP didn't have to lie, the UP didn't lie. If the UP talk about 16 billion, the man who was the spokesperson of the government, on the event of the question whether 16 billion was missing. He confirmed that something was missing. And then days later, maybe the finance minister was in disagreement. We start talking from two different sides of the mouths with an attempt to do damage control, but it was late. When somebody talked about it, you can say they were lying. If somebody talked about how you took 25 million because you said there were excess liquidity in the market, you wanted to stabilize the market. It was established that you went to Fuller Shop, went to Gallo Shop, and spent 25 million US. I will not talk about Liberty. And somebody talked about it, and you say they lied their way to power. If people were killing people, and as a government, you say you use 30 million as a stimulus package. And nobody living in the area that were affected saw the impact of the money. And they talk about it. You see, they lied their way to power. So there were auditors dying under very mysterious circumstances. Their families themselves were concerned. Somebody talked about it, and you say they lied their way to power. And so you say you have not chosen your path to life. As well the people you deal with, you think there are people who know their left and their right. They do know. That's the reason why they reach the point and believe that what you are providing for them is not the kind of governance arrangement they wanted. And that's why they use their vote to say thank you for your service. So stop it here. When you see them differently, you think they can be used and fooled. So you basically telling yourself equal lie and go to pass away to the lie. Keep it up. As you're tempted to lie, we'll keep doing a good job. The job will manifest. The result will be clear. And the people will see. And they will read between what is happening versus your lie. Even though the road is yet to be completed. Like I always say, I drive from Monrovia every day to come here. One thing I know, the kind of road I was driving, even though the work is yet to be completed, it's not the same as the one I'm driving on now. So by the time that work is completed, you tell the man who lives in between that road that nothing has happened. And you expect the person to say, yes sir, nothing has happened. No man is here. With all the progress taking place on the RIA road yesterday, I listened to the Deputy Public Works Minister, who said the road is gone 60%. They're about to begin work on the bridge because the existing bridge will not be used. It will be a completely new bridge. And he said for the other period where they have, normally in their construction, where they call it an assessment period, so that when any mistake is made on the work, it can be corrected. He says by the time you finish all of that by April 2027, you got to be driving on that road that you're driving on express highway in the United States of anywhere. And if people who live on that road be passing there, you tell us nothing has happened, you say they will agree with you. Keep dreaming like that. At least 69 Liberians, including several children, have been safely repatriated from Mali after they were left stranded by human traffickers who lured them into false promises of reaching Europe. Their return marked is a result of a consolidated rescue operation that involved the government of Liberia, the Child Protection Network of Liberia, and the Cannes Hand Foundation. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection led the official reception of the returnees and is now overseeing their reunification with families across the country. This is a very important message that we just talked to elevate because there will always be people who will tell you, say, come follow me, let's go to this place. They got work there, they got this one there, they got that one there. Or yeah, people crossing through Mali and other places to go to Europe and take the journey. And in the end, it's just traffickers who want to take you to be sold. A rare and op-ed issued by the U.S. ambassador to Liberia. And it's important for you members of the press to release that. Because in our op-ed, the ambassador was trying to provide guidance to people who are so desperate to make their way to other places, but especially he was focusing on America. And he was emphasizing that the current government in the U.S. has zero tolerance for illegal immigration to America. And he said, even at the different border crossings that people will use to find a way into America, he pointed out in clear words. He said you could die, there could be death, there could be imprisonment. So we have to just caution our people not to allow themselves to be misled by people, most of whom are criminals and traffickers, taking them away, wanting to make such dangerous journey. And what was strange about this, and very heartbreaking, is that amongst the individuals who were rescued include children. So imagine putting children through those kinds of very difficult journeys. We want to thank the child protection level of Liberia. I remember this group has been very helpful to our country because it's been existing for a long time. When I was assistant minister at the Ministry of Gender, but before then, national coordinator for the National Child Rights Auxiliary Group. That organization was a part of the Child Protection Network. It's a group that has been working diligently to safeguard and protect the interests of children. And I'm glad that after many years, that group is still in existence, working with our government to ensure that these stranded citizens of ours were rescued. Again, our entire water infrastructure is down. Yes, there are some people who can get drinking water through our sewage system moving into their homes, but there are still much to be done. So the Water and Sewer Corporation, with funding from the World Bank, they brought in 1,670 pieces of 40-inch diameter of brand new pipes and accessories, covering a distance of 10 kilometers, an accessory that replaced the old 36-inch pipe system that was used for the main water supply treatment system to the public. The old pipeline has been facing leakages along this transmission path, and it has affected water supply in Monrovia. So the new 48-inch pipe, when fully installed, will ensure an increased water supply to Monrovia and its environment. When the Water and Sewer Corporation announced that, again the angry people brought a new debate. We paid for it long before we left office, so most should start making noise. The Ministry of Commerce, in consultation with WPRC, hereby announces that the ceiling price for gasoline and fuel oil on the Liberian market remain unchanged as of April 8, 2025. And I think they are making this clarification because some people who love to be scrupulous are trying to change why it should be. So the price of gasoline, for instance, remains $3.68. Which is around $790. Fuel oil is $4.26. It's around $8.50. If you go somewhere and somebody try to put different price beyond these, raise an alarm. I mean the person is trying to do the wrong thing. Lastly, I want to talk about some of the things that the National Food Authority has been doing. When we plead with people regularly to utilize the legal press briefing, it's because we believe it is the most effective medium through which we can get information to the public. Look at the number of you in here, and take into consideration the different media entities you represent. For those who believe social media is a way to go, all these gadgets you see here, they're on social media. The LBS is here. The OK, the Spoon, everybody here. Tell me one viable media institution. Vision Online. In fact, the one people that can do a good work in my view, because they start going live and carry the whole program. They post some of the best of pictures after every ceremony. Even though sometimes they can be very controversial. If they're paying attention to you, the picture that made you know that Gina is going to be captured. And they put it on. Especially when you go to funeral, they can tell you. And they will see all the beautiful looks they were for. One ugly one will take it, I want to run. Bill and his group, they are very strong and trained in that. So I always say to people, when you feel a guy where vision is, be very careful how you position yourself. So capacity is a problem. Everywhere people inherited, including our own institution. But the goal cannot be to target people and say because they're not having certain capacity, so they cannot be here. The way to do it is to find a way to implant in them the capacity they don't have, because we are Liberians. Maybe they got the job the wrong way. But the solution is not kicking them out. When they have substance and they are treatable, train them. So the MPA, as a way of first putting the foot down, they were focused on that, capacity building and training. And through that, they've been able to train over 60 of their employees, not just in India, but across China and Africa. And those training focus on port management, logistics, and marine operation. So imagine 60 persons in that entity who did not have certain capacities or expertise. Just in the last 1 year, being given the opportunity to go to China, to go to all parts of Africa. And today they can knock the chest and say, I'm trained in port management. I'm trained in handling logistics in the port environment. I'm now trained in maritime operation. Transformative. But it makes the public only to read them as stories. You have to tell yourself. You want to tell it fine. Give it to us that our work that will be painful. But the people need to know when these things are happening. Healthcare, for example, has been restored. Access to healthcare has been restored there at the MPA. So they renovated and they reopened their referral clinic, and their employees are able to have access. When they have medical challenges, they are independent. When the issue they have tend to be bigger than what the clinic and handle will refer you. Because they are also insured, right? And if you have time, then the insurance will cover. They've also improved their operational logistics because they procure essential logistical equipment for all their departments. And that has ensured operational flow and service delivery. Expansion of the fleets that they have. I think most recently, many of you may have seen on Facebook, they were displaying something like me and working for all over the place. They acquired 11 pickups to support port operations. And for the first time in the port's history, they procured ambulance and fire truck as of October 2024 to enhance emergency response. They also upgraded the Freeport of Monrovia. They have renovated key infrastructure at the Freeport as of September to meet international compliance standards. They are also making financial contribution to national development. They introduced a real-time digital interface with the APN terminal to monitor port data and enhance accountability. They launched a new fully functional website to improve communication and access to information and public engagement. They have enhanced security and productivity by introducing a 24-hour lighting system at the Freeport of Monrovia and the Port of Buchanan, with ongoing efforts for expansion. They acquired new navigational aids that are about to be installed to facilitate quicker and safer vessel docking. They are keen on insurance on employees' welfare, so they have resumed payment to the Social Security Corporation for employees, making their Social Security contributions to deduct them on a monthly basis. They have settled about 6.2 million debts owed by that corporation with Developmental, which they inherited from the previous administration, thereby improving the credit worthiness of the port. They have commenced renovation of the Port of Greenville, which has been abandoned for over 6 years. They signed a memorandum of understanding with the Regional Maritime Institute to offer us 50% discount when they train MPA staff. They settled a 6-year backlog of employee income taxes owned to the Liberian Revenue Authority, thereby ensuring fiscal integrity and the trust of their staff. We've signed an MOU with Intergovernmental in Morocco to expand BMC Pier to enhance cargo handling capacity. Most importantly, to aid the overall government transparency fight, they have commissioned a full audit of the MPA to be done by the General Auditing Commission. That audit is currently ongoing, and it is part of their effort to ensure transparency and accountability. Just a snapshot of what's happening there at the National Port Authority, which we may not be aware of, because the people tell bad news than good news. I know for the last 2 weeks or so when I was out of the country, maybe the hardest story of a government entity on Facebook was the MPA. But nobody cares to just say, well, let's look at some of the good things that are happening too. Because it is a taboo to like or talk about good news. Thank you, Mr. Sanu. Yes, sir. So our friends from the Ministry of Youth and Sport will say anything, if you know, say that Daniel will close things up. Welcome.
Actually, that's Daniel will talk. Good afternoon. We've come to talk a little bit about our intergovernmental tournament. As you are quite aware, the intergovernmental tournament is a way of bringing government employees, state-owned enterprises, public corporations, autonomous agencies together for oneness, inclusive development discourse. In 2006, the governmental tournament was established under the president of Liberia, then Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, as a way of bringing the government closer. During the intergovernmental tournament, you'll see, for instance, Jeremiah Limepierre will be playing on the field with the least employee at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, where you see Daniel Sando playing on the field with the least employee. At that time, you cannot distinguish who is the minister and who is a regular or a janitor. That's the essence of bringing the government closer. So at that point, the government of Liberia, the Intergovernmental is also a deliverable. So with this year, we've managed to make sure that every 52 persons institution that have registered to bring it closer. So what we did was the disciplinary committee will be held by GAC, Internal Audit Agency, Liberia Anti-Corruption Corporation, NIR, Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Minister of Justice, and Defense Ministry. What do we mean by this? So during protest hearing, GAC now will vet who is an employee of government. NIR also is on that committee. They will also produce the ID card for people. So you cannot, by one way or the other, because what we did was to allow every entity to allow 5 contractors. So if you say Peter Paul is a contractor, you must show a valid contract between you and Peter Paul, who is on a contract. And that contract will show a procedure. And that validation will also be done to know whether Peter Paul is an actual contractor at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, or at the Ministry of Health, or the Ministry of Finance, so that no cheating is involved in the Intergovernmental. So what we did also is we established validation committee. The validation committee has the Civil Service Agency, it has LACC as well, RAA, Minister of Youth and Sports, GAC, NIR, Minister of Finance and Development Planning. What they will do also is to validate your identity, your ID card from your employment, and every information pertaining to. What we want to do is we don't want anybody who is active in the first division, in the second division, in the third division to actually play. The only exception is if you are appointed by the government of Liberia, or if the president appointed you, you will be less than 35 to play. So the benchmark in qualifying you to play in the Intergovernmental, you must be 35 years and above, and have not played any active football, kickball, or basketball for the last 3 years to qualify you to play. But the difference is if you are employed regularly, we go through that to make sure that you are 35. But if you are appointed by the president, you don't have control over that. You are not a normal civil servant. So you are qualified to play on the basis of your appointment letter from the president of Liberia. For instance, if you are 20 years old in government, you cannot play in the Intergovernmental because you are very young. For instance, I'm 52. The minister might be in his 50s. If we get a 20-year-old person coming to play, you know that it's a disaster. So the benchmark we have set now is it must be 35 years and above. But the exception is those who were appointed by the president are not more in number. So yes, we can allow every ministry and agency to allow those who were appointed by the president who are less than 35 to participate in the tournament. So what we did also is to establish the appeal committee, because if you file a protest, it's not the end. The end result is the appeal committee. The appeal committee has Ministry of Foreign Affairs because they control passport. CSA is also there because they control payroll. And Finance Ministry is also there. They control payment to employees. So all this validation will also be done. Then we have the technical committee. The technical committee is headed by the Minister of Youth and Sports, Minister of Defense, MCC, LCC, LAGES. You know, LAGES control statistics. So they are also on the technical committee to make sure that all statistics are properly done. And LAGES also control the competition department, because they control statistics and they will control competition. This year we want to do the Intergovernmental separately different. In the past, you will play at the end of the tournament, they gave you a award, they gave you a trophy on the field. So what we did this year was to establish hospitality committee. And the hospitality committee will take our trophies, the awards to the ministerial complex to have an award night. And that award night will be graced by either the president of Liberia, the vice president, or some dignitaries from government where they will go and sit, and we honor those who are deserving of the awards, individual awards, basketball awards, football, and keyboard. This year, unfortunately, we are not including volleyball because of some reasons that we cannot explain because they have some issues. Once those issues are resolved, so we will bring them. But unfortunately, the tournament will be starting on the 17th of April. So we're not sure whether volleyball will be back. But there will be football, there will be kickball, and there will be basketball. And this year we're also introducing marathon for older people who want to go and exercise to have marathon. 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter, and 800 meter at the SKD Sports Complex. That process and that part of it will be also handled by the Assistant Minister for Sports, Mr. Murphy Gray. As you are also aware, Mika is the chairperson on the Media and Publicity Committee. Deputy Minister Daniel Sandra has been doing a very good job to talk about the Intergovernmental every time. He's co-chaired by the LBS, MPA, and a few other people on that committee. But Mika is also the chair, so they have been doing exceptionally well to inform the public about the Intergovernmental. Like I said before, the Intergovernmental is a deliverable of the government of Liberia, managed by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But this year we are consolidated all ministries, agencies, public corporations to also be a part, so that everybody is involved on all the committees to make sure all hands are on deck to make sure that the Intergovernmental is successful, peaceful, and to bring peace, unity, inclusive development through sports. So we will stay here. Probably there will be a few questions to answer. But last year we could not play because the government had their transition. In 2023, those who won the league, as you are aware, Maritime won the football category of the 2023, and MPA won the keyboard category, NASPO won the basketball category, and Minister of State won the volleyball category. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Andy Kwame. So, just before we take your questions, I'd like to add that the other day the Commission on Arms announced the commencement of registration of small arms in the country. And it became another topical issue. People try to blow it out of proportion to say the government were requesting citizens to get guns for themselves because the government cannot protect as is required, which was not true. But the fact remains that there are a lot of people out there who are carrying arms illegally. The Liberia National Police is investigating the shooting of Chief Inspector Sam W. Walker. Inspector Walker was attacked on April 5th during the evening hours at the Jerusalem Community Junction in the Mount Bakri area. Officer Walker sustained gunshot wounds and left his left leg after the attack, and he is currently seeking medical attention at a medical facility. So far, one person has been arrested in connection with the incident. That person is undergoing investigation. The investigation has also identified Prince Willie as one of the suspects who was involved in the attack. Additional individuals wanted in connection with this case include Joe Hagan Jr., Prince Willie, aka Chucky, Prince Lord, and Patrick Killing. Of course, there are photographs are inserted in the release that were published by the Liberia National Police. And the police is also seeking assistance from the public. If we can provide information that will lead to the arrest or apprehension of these individuals, the police will appreciate it. Because law enforcement, the community has to get involved. They are out there, they have guns, carrying guns illegally, and they are terrorizing the police. So if you know what they are, we call on you to help the police in arresting them, because they are armed and they are dangerous individuals. They shouldn't be out there in the community. Last day before we take the questions, there are people who are out there, left the country, and they see everything that is happening, the commitment of the government to address some of the problems the country faces. They come back home, and in their own capacity, they try to help buttress the effort of national government. The Liberia National Fire Service received a donation worth over $250,000 from a group called the International Training Company and the International Training Force. The donation includes essential personal protective equipment, PPE, for firefighters, and a 65-inch smart board to aid classroom instruction at the Liberia National Fire Service Academy. The donations were made by Mr. Patrick McDermott and Mr. Tyrone Jarrett of the International Training Force. The donation was received by the leadership of the Liberia National Fire Service. I'm told that the Speaker of the National Legislature, Honorable Richard Nambikon, was there. The Director of the Fire Service, Mr. Waspo Bafo, expressed deep appreciation to the donors, especially to Mr. Gladcom Moel and Chief Prince Kapier, co-heads of the International Training Group, for their dedication to public safety, firefighting, and training and disaster management. There are private individuals who see that there's a need. Government cannot do everything. So they come in to assist, and on behalf of the government of Liberia, would like to appreciate them for their kind gesture to enable the fire service respond in a timely manner to incidents of fire outbreak across the country, because last year there were a lot of fire incidences across the country. This year we see a bit of decline. Of course, there have been other instances, but we have to admit to the capacity problem that the fire service has. Some of the problems are based on logistical issues, and this donation seeks to address some of these logistical problems that they are confronted with. With that being said,
So part of our goal as the ministry is to find ways to bring the media, the Liberian media, closer and closer to the government as a whole, but to the presidency in particular. We are hoping that there will be times when the president will have to sit with senior media executives to have chit-chats and other different forms of engagements. But we wanted to start the engagement first on a soft social note. So on Thursday, which is this coming Thursday, the 10th, we will be hosting the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism along with the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, will host what we call the annual Presidential Media Dinner. They will bring together media leaders and executives, together with the president and key officials of the ministries named, as well as other important government officials like the Speaker, the Pro Tem, the Chief Justice, and others, for a night of dinner at the ministerial complex, the EJS Ministerial Complex. We intend to make it a memorable occasion since it's the first Honor President Bwaka. Invitations are going out as MICA reporters. Your head, the president, I know you're having a coup here the other time, I don't know why it is now, but whoever is the president is entitled to that recognition. They will have the chance to be formally seated representing MICA reporters. But at the same time, because the program needs coverage, all of you here who normally covered the Ministry of Information will have to be there to cover the program. And by virtue of the fact that you will be present and covering the program, it also means, like your president, you will share in the dinner. Your driver will get there, you will eat some too. So we just wanted to announce that if you take note, right now, a few banners are being placed out there in the public to give more visibility to this very important event. Through your own ways, using your different media outlets, talk about it. It's critically important. It happens in great societies. Like in America, you have because they don't have Ministry of Information, all of that. They have the press secretary, so they have the White House correspondent dinner with the president. It's a replica of that. It's been happening before. We did a couple of times under President Salif. I don't know whether you did it during the last 6 years, but we thought to do it. And we finally put all into place to ensure that it happens on Thursday. See you all there. Come and give it the coverage it needs. LBS will be there to carry live. Spoon will be there to carry live. Okay, all of you, be there and carry live. It's a media event with the president, so help to promote it. And I'd like to recognize the presence of the former president of the Press Union, Charles Coffey. Welcome. Okay.
So, Samuel, please proceed with the questions. The minister spoke very extensively, spoke to each. He also spoke about the Intergovernmental tournament or league, if you may. I'm sure you have questions, so the speaker also take note as you ask.
Please introduce yourself, institution you vote for, and one person who is speaker, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Rokon Flamai. Thank you, Minister, for the elaboration. In your statement, response to the former Vice President, she appeared on my platform the other time, Spoon Network. She alleged that she has been reading top government officials, including the Speaker, the Minister of Justice, and the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs on this matter. But in your statement, you did not mention any of that. Are you now aware of her communication on her benefits as a government? I'm not talking about maybe as the Ministry of Information, but the entire government is not aware of any communication that she claimed in your accession. And to Minister Andy, you did mention that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of that is the CSA. They will be doing vetting of, of civil servants that will be participating in the league. And also when there are complaints, these institutions will address the complaint appropriately. When those institutions who are participating, who will be addressing complaints, when they have issues, who do they carry their complaint to?
Thank you. My name is Desmond William, and I report for Democracy Watch. To the minister, just that my colleague have said it, but I think I'm going to paraphrase it in a different form because it's an issue of concern. The former the former vice president is a state person, and of course, raising these kind of allegations of government, it creates a whole lot. I want to know, considering what she alleged of many communications to government from the finance ministry and likewise the justice ministry, even the speaker. And now that the official spokesperson of government is saying that the former vice president should do all communication. So my concern is this government concerned about the previous communication, or if it is established that indeed she has written these officials, do they consider such communication, unlike she rewrites? That's my first concern. The second concern is this most anticipated F-moving equipment. The price, as I learned from you, was not announced when you appeared because that release came about with your appearance at the Punch FM, where people, a lot of reported on the story that the government position was on the 2 million reduction, which everybody, I see as a person, was important in terms of taxes. So if that has not been the official price of government, as you said, what is the official price the renegotiation is seeking, to achieve? And why, as a person, as a government official, what you think could be the reason for media institutions to have reported on 22 million, which is a great reduction, instead of probably the one that was escalated at first? Thank you.
So my name is Mopolu and I run the multimedia hub. And my question goes to the Deputy Minister of Youth and Sport. So it's always good to play football, but all the past time when you talk about youth and sport, you would think about football, or maybe there's a game coming up, you want to give some information about that. But I think that youth and sport just more than talking about football. This is a government that say things will not be like before. You just mentioned about upcoming game that will be participated by government officials. But we want to know, maybe the ordinary librarian want to know, what extra things that you are involved with that youth of this country, will benefit, instead of just talking about, government officials going to play football. And B to that, this whole tournament, what the government hope to achieve after you shall have done with the league. Thank you.
My name is Joseph Kekula, and I report for Reports 231 online TV and website. Mr. Kwame, you talk about the league, and then you did not mention, you did not release the picture and the venue for this tournament. And besides that, I want you to look at the nomenclature league. I wanted to use a tournament instead of the league, because the league is quite different and the tournament is also different. So I want the ministry to look at that as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm Larry STB, and I report for Banana FM. So my first question goes to Minister Kwame. Thanks for your explanation. According to you, the Intergovernmental League is intended to bring government closer, which we appreciate. But from a content point of view, there is something called value for money. So I really want to know the issue of the entire league. What is the budget? Because I didn't hear you saying something about that. Is that the budget for the league? Do you care to tell the Liberian people? And then to Minister Sino, or about 48 hours ago, you alarmed and wrote something on your official Facebook page. And you said your home is being, or the home of your family is being attacked. I want to know, were you able to identify those who involved? If yes, are there measures to avoid, repeat of similar situation? Thank you.
I'm Joseph Sally, and I'm Joseph Sally, and I report for Lata FM and TV. To Minister Kwame, I want to know whether all rules should be applied within the tournament, all rules that govern football when it comes to player receiving 2 yellow cards, whether they will miss the next match, what will be the penalties of player receiving cards. And to Minister Pia, few minutes ago, the ANC political leader, Alexander Bernard Cummings, appeared on Sky, 50-50, and he made some strong allegation against the government. One is the government is doing things 4 times double what the past administration did, and second to that, he condemned the president. He condemned the president using such an expensive car. And as a government spokesperson, can you tell us your response to his statement?
Good afternoon. My name is George Salif, and I report for Quality News TV Liberia. My question goes to the Minister of Information. The people, the public, are concerned about the issue of human trafficking. And let me say a big thank you to the Gender Ministry and that of the Liberia Children Network for that whole step for saving those people, particularly. And I want to know as to what is the Ministry of Gender, what are they going to do with those actors, those that are found within the act of trafficking? Are they going to let them go scot-free, or will they go after them? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is O'Neill Phillips. I read for New Liberian newspaper. I have 2 questions, one for Minister, my boss, and one for Mr. Andy. Minister, you said the government, as far as you're concerned, is paying all former officials, including former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. And then she admitted on the Spoon Talk that indeed she receiving benefits for her senator position. The question is the government of Liberia paying, for example, Madam Joel Howard Taylor for being vice president, while at the same time paying her for being a senator? That's the question. And my question also to Mr. Andy. Mr. Andy, thank you. We just want to know, you didn't announce what will be the awards or what people will pay to go on the fee. And also we want to know, since you don't come always, you hosted the county meet. Do you want to tell how much did you accrue from that county meet? Thank you.
So, good afternoon. My name is Ines Sokol, and I report for Lux Radio and Lux Television. My question goes to the Minister of Information. In your deliberation, you spoke of the current president, then vice president, receiving 800 that you were aware of, or you are aware of, comparing it to what the former vice president, Madam Taylor, said, that she hasn't been receiving her benefits due her. And in your deliberation, you talk about what you are aware of from this National Social Security, that she's been receiving her benefits. So I am confused that I need you to clarify or make a little more clarity of, does this 800 that was received from former Vice President Bwaka, does it cover the now ex-Vice President? This $800, is it being given to her as well, or is something else? I'm a bit confused on that I need a little more clarity on. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the questions. Mr. Kwame?
Thank you. The first question was based on GAC, LACC being participant at the same time sitting on the disciplinary or the protest committee. Whenever there's a protest on an entity and that entity is a part of the disciplinary or the protest committee, I'm sure we all know the rules governing sports. That entity will be recused from there and that investigation will go on without that entity. For instance, our integrity institutions are entrusted with hearing protest issues, validation issues, and to handle issues that boil us around integrity. But in the event there's a protest on RAA, LACC, GAC, they will be recused from that committee, and the rest of the other 9 entities will have to hear that issue. Somebody asked if the Minister of Youth and Sports is involved in other matters regarding sports. That's why they call the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We have TVET, Technical Vocational Training Institute. The TVET is doing a marvelous job. The youth development is also doing much more. But I'm not the Deputy Minister for Youth. I don't want to speak to issues regarding the youth. But right now, the youth department is doing extra. If you hear the at-risk youth, they are doing extra work, taking them from the streets, carrying them to a vocational institution, training them, cleaning them to come back to the society to be accepted. Right now, we are on a recruitment of more than 5,000 students as cadets that will be assigned to ministries, agencies, and other institutions. The governor of Liberia also, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, will be investing in tutorial for high school students. Will be recruiting university students to do that. There are a lot more the Ministry of Youth and Sports is doing, not just sports. But because I'm the Deputy Minister for Sports, I have to discuss something pertaining to my department. But the Ministry of Youth and Sports is doing a lot more that the public is aware of, or the public should be aware of. But again, I'm the Deputy Minister for Sports. I have to discuss something in my shop. Not in the Deputy Minister for TVET, there's a Deputy Minister for Youth Development, and there's a Minister of Youth and Sports as well. The budget for the league, the government of Liberia is providing $15,000 for that league, and every participating entity is paying $750 for registration that will run the league as well. Somebody asked for the budget. So that is the budget. $15,000 has been provided by the government of Liberia, and every participating entity is paying $750 for the running of the league. Yes, I could not give you the fixture here, but I think I told you that the league will be starting on the 17th of April. As soon as we leave from here, the fixtures will be given to the public and to the media as well, so that you can also inform the public on our behalf. Somebody asked for the rules of the tournament. Yes, all rules of football will be applied, but like I said to you, we are considering 35 years and above, meaning that we will alter FIFA rules a little bit to suit out, because the old people are going to play, like old timer. So we will not go by the standard rules of football or for FIFA. We will also tell the rule in a way that it fits the tournament. Somebody said, why are you saying tournament instead of league, or league instead of tournament? It's almost the same. The tournament will go on for more than 3 months. That's why we say Intergovernmental League. So you can consider it as tournament or league or whatever it is. There are 65 institutions that will be participating. Right now, 52 have registered. We are hoping that before the tournament opens, the rest of the other entities will have registered. The league will go on pretty close to 3 months. So that's the reason. Few weeks ago, the Minister of Youth and Sports had a press conference to announce how much was accrued from the National County Sports Meet. I'm sure if you are journalists, I saw you listen to the minister. He announced how much was accrued. I've come here to talk about the Intergovernmental, and I don't want to give you any figure that I'm not sure on. But yes, indeed, Minister of Youth and Sports, Councillor Gerald Cole Bangalo, had a press conference 2 weeks ago, and announce how much was accrued, how much was expended, and the records are public document. If you want it, probably you can come to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We can provide that detail to you. Somebody talk about cash prizes. Yes, there will be cash prizes. Individual prizes will also be awarded, and trophies will also be awarded. I think I announced that this year we will do it slightly different. At the end of the tournament, we will go to the ministerial complex to have our awards there, where people, individuals, institutions that will win awards, cash, individual award will be awarded to them, and there will be an elaborate occasion at that night. Thank you.
The situation, as was reported on social media, was brought under control. The police is investigating. Those identified to be the perpetrators are at large, and we are hopeful that with the cooperation of the community, they can be arrested to account for their action.
If you notice, we try to be extremely respectful to the Vice President, and we didn't want to pull and hold this matter to any depth. And I will advise that we leave it so. First of all, we need to know, as I said, what specifically the Vice President claimed. Because as of the documentation I was reading from, which I said I wouldn't announce any cost because of trying to show respect for the category of leaders there, what they receive it. It points to the fact that, yes, in that capacity as a former Vice President, receiving her benefits. So if he claims still that there is something, that's what I said, you got to come forward with clarity as to what that claim is. At one point on the show, I know she was saying the benefit to be 50% of what she was making as Vice President. There's no law, absolutely from anywhere, that gives 50% of the income that was being made by the President, Vice President, anybody, to them after leaving office. So you journalists, since you are journalists, you are researching, if you find that law, then you bring it to her. But to be respectful, we say, as far as we know, and this is not my making, there are authorities in government that are responsible for these issues. So whatever we had that we announced came from those sources. So if there is something special, something different that we don't know about, that's what I said the Vice President should make that claim. It is not for me to come and discuss whether the Vice President had written 50 letters, whether I saw the letter. I don't think that is part of what I want to go through. What were the other questions? Self-moving equipment. So yes, like I said, and if you doubt it, you can go back to the recording on Punch. We didn't talk about cost. So I'm not denying or confirming. I'm just saying I did it. And the reason is very simple. This was a committee set up by the President, with the Vice President being in charge. To the best of my recollection, a formal pronouncement coming from that committee has not been made. But of course, we're giving clearance that we can assure the public, since it's a matter that is of concern to people, that we can assure them that yes, the yellow machines will be brought, and we have the sources of funding. So once that office clears the way, then I can speak emphatically to the question of cost. But beyond that, the debate that others are going in, like the analogy I tried to give you is not important. No dime was spent. And somebody was trying to steal money, so go arrest them. How did they steal money if no dime was spent? Or if a supplier was found to say this would be the cost of my machine, how was that supplier's cost the business of somebody, because are the person will be determining cost for that supplier? So as a government, we had a choice to make. You bring your cost, we look at the other cost, we look at this. And in the end, Of course, there was a process of soliciting people who wanted to do before someone was chosen. And we chose what we thought offer us the best of deal. And I thought that where we should move from, but to be even saying go and arrest somebody because why something came with a bill that may be different from what a new cost is, I mean, somebody got to be punished. Within what context of the law? Okay, the person who supplied the yellow machine from China, he said it was 45 million. So somebody here in government got to be responsible for making that money say that 45 million, not punish them. How you draw all that kind of case in a court of law? I got one lawyer, one of my assistant ministers is one of the best attorneys in the country. How do we do that, Mr. Anthony? We can charge somebody on that. Yeah, so sometimes we will not lawyers, so certain things are common sense. But again, people have all the right to demand things they want to demand based on the way they see it. Somebody was asking about she receiving money as senator and as former vice president at the same time. What we chose to respond to is the fact that a former vice president says she's not getting her benefit. I'm not talking senator matter. So that which interests us is a question of vice president now receiving. Whether she's receiving money for a senator and receiving money as vice president, I don't know. But the one she raised is the one we try to talk about. And like I said, if there's any other kind of benefit based on the one that we pay, that the vice president believes she's entitled to, that she's not getting, we'll have the conversation. So, but what I've noticed is that people can enjoy the exchange when you can, and you won't be firing at everything people say. I can be when a boy I was watching, they're on your thing. As soon as you say this one, oh, so you're wondering like that every time. Oh, sometimes you just look at the issue and face it as it is. There may be some times when the heat in the room can make you to say certain things, and it just pass. Political space is occupied by men and women, not boys and girls. So when strong talks come, you get absorbed and move on. Don't cry too much. What else was asked here? Oh, somebody said comment. So you see, as the government spokesman, I can't respond to somebody based on an account given to me by another person. So if I listen to comments myself, and I believe that whatever he says needs a response, we will. If we don't believe that we should respond to it, then sometimes we will not. You got to understand too, I just told you that there is somewhere. So we're talking to them, they're giving information, and the information they will give us lead to persons of interest who are on the ground. Of course, there will be actions. But you can't take action on invisible people. So for me, the key thing to communicate here is for our people to be mindful. Don't allow yourself to be lured into following these people who will promise you heaven and they themselves living maybe in hell or purgatory. I can give you what I don't have. Why are we following people who got ways to care for you, but I said not in euros? Doesn't that make you to think a little bit and say this is not something that I should follow? At least they're lucky we brought them back. In some cases, people have lost their lives. So I just want people to be mindful. Don't mind the temporary toughness of situation to just fall into it. Because even the very places you want to go, nothing is promised there. Especially so if you're going there illegally. Even people who live there illegally, they have challenges making it. But sometimes we just feel that people are having because we get small problem, we call our people by the phone. They'll take a loud mouth, they send it to us, so we just think everything okay there. They're not true. And I can speak to that with a father, somebody who lives there. So being there illegally is war. And pay attention to that up-air that the ambassador issue. He's not joking. Especially with the change of political leadership and whatever the agenda is for the new administration, you gotta be mindful. for your own sake, the sake of your family, your children if you have. You know, a life preserved is better than a life that has been gambled. So thank you for coming. We'll be here on Thursday, but prepare yourself. See you all at the dinner. I know most of you coming to the press conference. The invitation that are going out requires the participant to be in formal or traditional attire. So some of you who don't like your ordinary dress code, be careful, small, be there. In a trogon flannel on that is. You're going to make them a press conference wear costume and tie. So even though you are there as reporters, but it's a different occasion and come in a very decorous, if I could borrow from Prophet Chinopo, come in a very decorous manner. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.